Hey again. I do love our talks. And this last one has been a tease. So I'm glad that you're here so that um, we can philosophize and maybe arrive at something helpful that we can use in our lives with it. It's that like concept that truth, as far as we know it, because there's no absolutes. Ooh, that's a good one. We'll talk about that maybe sometime later. That there's no straight lines, or exists no straight lines in nature, and I think beauty, and definitely progress. So, as a let's just like both of us connect with how I'm not. I don't want to just talk to you. Uh, I don't want to lecture. I don't want to give advice. This is friends connecting. It's conversation with learning. My learning and your learning. It's like a back and forth thing. So I'm gonna try to not get distracted by examples of my in my own life about what I'm talking about, what it reminds me of, or get lost on a tangent. And then you can do the kind of same thing, obviously, and maybe because I'll do most of the talking, uh, try not to uh, try not to your tangent is to try not to get distracted by uh, what you would rather do, or what you would say, or how that's not you, or something along that way. Like, uh, instead, listen when I'll listen to, like, we're able to reconvey whatever we say to clarify understanding. That way, it's like the principles that get discovered, and then the principles can be maybe applied to lots of different things. And this is a really interesting one. No straight lines. What does that mean? I know you said you didn't have much time, so uh, let's focus on progress, because that's just like the closest to it. Maybe something like a principle that we can apply to life in general. Uh, what it reminds me of is the whole adage of 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Uh, and that kind of like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. That's a straight line, and so it does sound kind of repressive. You almost want to say, "Screw you!" Like 2 steps forward, pause, but I don't want to take a step back. Forget it, you know. Uh, but what it also reminds me of is like any mountain or hill I've ever climbed. Like, I can't fly yet. Uh, I don't go straight up. It's like I follow a path, and to be honest, I'm the kind of guy that I enjoy not following the path. But that's even maybe more so when I'm like kind of going left and right and kind of over and under things. So let's bring this back to our talking about how there's no straight lines in progress, uh, and talk about learning and growing, and uh, how we might examine that. Okay, well, like, let's look at learning. Anything new is got to be based on something uh, that you're familiar with, right? It's like, I'm not gonna learn um, Russian as a language while not speaking English, you know, or and not being conveyed with in terms of what I hear or how to say it with my mouth. Okay, maybe that example is a little convoluted, but it's like, yeah, because it's nearly impossible, right, to not connect something new with something old, so that that like, because it's yourself that's connecting. So right there's, I guess, a little bit of like, in learning something new, it's like, oh, I don't know that. Relate it back to what I do. And actually, that almost alone is really points it out, because I'm watching my hands. I'm like, brr, like connecting something to, look, my hand went back. But really, learning something new, connecting it with something I know. Well, something I know that includes this new thing isn't back here. It's kind of like, maybe like here, right? Something I did know, something new, and then time marches on. So I circle down and connect, and then maybe circle back up, and go over the same new thing that's less new than before, right? So 2 steps forward, 1 step back, is really just like, excuse my French, but like a time fuck, right? It's like a misperception in languaging that is inaccurate, and then places our consciousness in some inaccurate box of forward and backwards. And that's the only way. But you can't go backwards in time except when it's helpful. Anyways, see, look, tangent. Okay, staying on track. Staying on track. So where have we come? 2 steps forward, and then the next step to like circle around. Yeah, no, like when I try and think of it just an analogy, it gets confusing. So maybe let's apply it to something else. Well, like I want to apply it to kind of getting over something or moving on from, because whenever I feel a kind of way and I'm ready to not, that point of being ready to not, I can never go backwards from that. I can feel shittier than I did at that point. But chances are, the way that I got to shittier was forward in realizing something else, or realizing. No? Yeah. Just lying to myself, which only really happens when you know you're lying. And I don't know what that's like. I don't think you do either. So let's move on. Right? But let's move on and stay on track. Like thinking about something that upsets me, being like, necessitates circling back and capturing what I think I feel about it, and then even just having an idea about how you want to feel is another step forward, as well as kind of that spiral. It's if we think of like a low point and a high point, and our movement spiral like we're at the low point, we target the high point, we revisit the low point, and like connect it to some aspect of that high, and then recalibrate the high, or just even revisiting it and re-cementing it into the like how we manifest it in our life. And onward steps progress, except when, of course, we're being, or one can be, really manipulated or subjugated against their free will. And you know what? Fuck that. Because even then, we have the opportunity to manifest meaning only within us, right? Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl, great book, talks about stuff and his experience. And when you read that book or anything or listen, like we're having this conversation where you're like, this isn't about what I would do. This is about what's possible. What is the possible that's being examined? Oh, that's its own thing. Can that somehow be applied to something in my life? No? Cool. Yes. Awesome. you know? Yeah. That's sweet. I really like this one. I really like it. And also, there's just like more ways that we can apply it. Because there are no straight lines in beauty. Like, curvy is great. And just look at our eyes. And our lips, like the corners rise, like the happier we get, the curvier. What up, curve? Yeah. You know what? I know that there's more curve stuff that we could probably talk about, but we'll leave it for another time. I'll last, I guess, recap of kind of what you and I decided or arrived at. There's no straight lines in progress. So what's that? So what is there? Progress is non-linear. Progress is iteration. Progress is just realizing, actually, that something immediately becomes something else right after it. And thinking it's the same is a mistake, an error, not a lie, in how we're looking at it. It's our perception, consciousness perception. And when we perceive it, and when we notice that we're perceiving the same thing as the same thing all the time, like, let that not be our fault too. Not our fault, but we can take responsibility so that we can change it if we want to. So progress is non-linear, it's iterative and instantly manifestable, in that it's true. As when you like, as soon as you think a thing, it becomes your reality. It's just a matter of how many people might agree with you. You know what? That's where I'll leave it, because this is fun and I could go on, but you've got that thing. So I'll see you around. I have so much fun with you. Okay, cool. Catch you later. Be well. And you're great. Like, really. Yeah. Thanks for coming by. I'll see you soon, I promise. And I do love you. Bye.